Good afternoon, Wealth Our Way Nation. What is going on? It is your man, Charles Tank Harris, the founder and chief visionary officer of the financial literacy platform, Wealth Our Way, where our motto is wealth is not only for the wealthy. Welcome to episode 15. We are wrapping up a great week on the importance and understanding of leverage. And today we're going to talk about the automotive buying process and how cars are leased and financed, where debt plays a role in all of this. I want to say thank you to each and every one of you who are watching this program live as we stream across our Wealth Our Way Facebook and YouTube pages respectively. I want to give a special shout out to Wealth Our Way Nation, who catches the program pre-recorded overnight, over the weekends, or wherever they can squeeze 15 minutes of financial literacy in. And then a heartfelt thank you for listening to this program, to my Life 101 platform brethren and sisters who are listening to this audio of the program. With all of that being said, we've had an amazing week. We've talked about the differences between debt and leverage. There are some similarities and some crossover, but there's two specific thought process behind each. We've also delved back into the importance of credit. For the last 2 days, we've had my beautiful colleague, Liz Paris of Loan Depot, on talking about mortgages. And today we're going to wrap up talking about the car buying process. Because it's a holiday weekend, I was unable to get my preferred guest on to cover this topic, but he extended his sincerest apologies for being unavailable right now and promised me that he will come on the show to answer any questions that might pop up today as we are covering the car buying experience. So I want to do as I normally do and start with some anecdotal personal references to car buying. I have done both leases. I have done both, purchases. I have bought pre-owned cars. I have bought brand new cars. I have bought cars as a person who has had excellent credit. I have bought cars as a person who has had suspect credit. I have bought cars with people needing to co-sign for me. I have co-signed for people. I have been up and down the whole myriad of the car purchasing experience. And as a matter of fact, as we speak, the car that I drive is financed. It's a car that I've purchased and it has a car note on it. The car my wife drives is leased. And it was a 3-year, 3-month lease. It actually is over next March. So still to this day, we have a mix of the two. I'm going to share with you guys a screen share of a Consumer Reports article that highlights the differences, the pros and cons of leasing versus buying. When I do my research and I look for supportive information on the topics that I cover here on 15 Minutes of Finance, I like reputable places like Investopedia, Consumer Reports, places that have done their homework, and I think it'd be great to share. I'm going to warn you ahead of time that the screen share is a little small, so I'm going to show you the pros and cons, but also give you the opportunity to Google the article yourself and other resources on leasing and buying. With that being said, before I get into the screen share, I want to just cover a couple of things that are commonly said, commonly thought, and then some new ideas that I was talking to a member of Wealth Our Way Nation the other day. He inboxed me and we were talking about some tricks of the trade that a lot of people aren't aware of. Once again, I always share with you guys that I do finances for a living. This is what I do. As a result, I know a lot of stuff. Some of the things I know, I think everybody knows. And then I find out later, everybody doesn't know this. So I was telling one of the members of Wealth Our Way Nation about the fact that if you have a vehicle that is designated to be a business vehicle, that if that vehicle weighs 6,000 pounds or greater, which, I don't know if people have an idea as to how much cars actually weigh. So you don't have to guess. You can also go on the IRS website, or you can just Google 6,000 pound cars and greater, and they'll give you a comprehensive list of vehicles that fall under this. My Ford F-150, of course, as a truck, is over 6,000 pounds. You are allowed to depreciate the entire purchase price of your vehicle when enlisted for business reasons in 1 year. It's accelerated depreciation. It's a function of the current tax laws. That is huge. Normally, we're amortizing the depreciation of a vehicle over its useful life. This allows you to do it all in 1 year. So we were just talking about that, and I said something about depreciating my truck and that I've ran up the miles on it so much, I'm probably going to get a new one. But the only good news is I'll get to write off the new truck. And he says, wait, you can write off your whole truck? I said, yes, if it's over 6,000 pounds, you can do so. So hopefully, as you guys are coming on to this program and hearing things that I talk about, you learn little useful tidbits like that. One of the myths that I want to dispel, you heard this your whole life, I'm sure. I heard it my whole life. New cars lose 50% of their value the day you drive them off the lot. That's just not true. Like, let's get it really out in the open. That is not true. This is not to encourage you to buy new cars versus pre-owned cars. I firmly believe in the economic validity of a process. And if you can buy a pre-owned car and be comfortable with your purchase, I endorse buying pre-owned cars all day long. But for people who avoid buying new cars because they just consider it to be fiscally irresponsible because you're going to have a depreciating asset, which you will, and they think that depreciating asset will go down 50% day one, that's just not true. You can go to Kelley Blue Book, autotrader.com, a lot of reliable sources on the internet that will tell you car values, and you can see what a car that is still in the current year but has been returned for whatever reason, or in the next year, like if you bought a 2020 and it's 2021, what the depreciation actually has been on that vehicle. And you will see that it's never 50%. There is always a market to buy a car. The number one deterrent to resale value of a car, though, is high mileage. That is where I am guilty of all the time. I have high mileage on my vehicles. I drive everywhere. Even the pandemic and shifting to a virtual side of my business has not seemed to lower my mileage. The main reason is I don't like flying. And I have children that live over 800 miles away from me that I'm still a good dad, or like to believe I'm a good dad. And I go see them at least once a month. So that's 1,600 miles every month just in that visit. You add in some appointments, you add in the 2 times a month going to see the kids, and all of a sudden you got 100,000 miles on your truck in 2 years. So with that being said, I'm going to go to the screen share and we're going to start talking about the differences between a purchase and a lease. Let's go to the screen share. I'm going to take me and my handsome face off the screen and put up the difference between loans and leases. And yes, I am 100% confident that you are going to have a hard time seeing these differences. So I am going to verbally walk you through it. Here is the difference in ownership. Let's just talk high level. When you buy a vehicle, you own that vehicle. That is your asset. Similar to buying a house. You do have, if you take out a loan from a finance company, an obligation to pay a loan back that is secured by the car. Meaning that if you fail to pay the loan obligation back, they can come take your car back. It's called repossession. If you don't pay your loan in a timely fashion, they can report you negatively to the credit bureau. The same thing can happen with the lease. If you do not pay your lease payment, you can have your lease repossessed. If you do not pay your lease payment on time, it will be reported to the credit bureau. But the main difference on these two purchase options, or these two ownership options, I'm still using the wrong word, these two possession options, is one represents ownership, the other one represents basically renting. It is the difference between buying a house and renting a house. So in leasing, like renting, you are subject to a lot of rules and restriction. One of the restrictions are the amount of miles you're allowed to put on a car. Most leases are reducing every year the amount of miles that you can put on a car. One of the benefits to leasing, though, is a lot of times you are leasing a brand new vehicle. Almost 90% of leases are brand new. You can lease used vehicles, though. But leasing a brand new vehicle, I expressed earlier this week on this program, I have a very hard time with anything mechanical. I don't know when something's broken or not broken. If you are leasing a new car every 2 or 3 years, a couple of things are working in your favor. A, you're keeping the miles low, so you're probably not having any mechanical issues. B, you are under the manufacturer's warranty, and if you do have an issue, you get to get it repaired. In a owned car, you may own your car past the part point of the manufacturer's warranty. I know I have ran past my warranty. They're normally 5 years, 60,000 miles, whichever comes first. As a person who has 100,000 miles on his truck, I'm paying out of pocket for every repair. Yes, there are extended warranties, but they come with their own little headaches and things of that nature. The main determiner of what you're paying for when you choose to buy a car versus leasing a car. When you buy a car, whatever the whole purchase price of the car is, that's what you're on the hook for. In a lease, you are paying the difference between the price of the car today and the expected residual value when you return the car. So if you're going to get a 3-year lease and they're going to tell you in 3 years, this car is going to be worth $40,000, but it's worth $60,000 today, you are leasing the $20,000 of that car. They will put what they call a money factor on that $20,000 and divide that payment by the 3 years. It's really that simple. The hard part about a lease is there's not a lot of flexibility if you change your mind. You can take a car, buy it on Monday, decide on Tuesday you don't want it, and go back, sell it back to the dealership. It will have depreciated, but you can get out of it. With a lease, there are all types of penalties and restrictions on terminating a lease early. There are, however, special organizations that specialize in swapping people out of their lease to other people who are interested in leasing the car. So you do have the opportunity now more than ever because of the internet and the ever-evolving marketplace that we live in to get out of lease earlier. One of the other benefits to having a lease is because it's something that's being quote unquote rented, if you are using it for business purposes, you are able to deduct the full lease payment. Now, see your CPA or your EA for your particular situation. But in my situation, if the car is completely enlisted in work responsibilities, I'm using it, I can write that off the same way I write off my office rent. Similarly, with the car that you own, if it's over 6,000 and you're 6,000 pounds and you're using it solely for work purposes, you can depreciate it in year 1, but now you're not getting a deduction in years 2 and so on. I think that the basic bottom line for determining whether you're a leaser or a purchaser is how you're going to use the car and what you're comfortable in a car with. As I say, although I would have a lease payment for the rest of my life, I know I'm going to have a car note for the rest of my life. I put that in my budget because I won't drive older cars because I am so hard on them and they break down. I'd be killing myself in car repairs and they're unpredictable. I'd rather have the predictability of a car note that I know my payment is X dollars a month. I can take it to the dealership, get these repairs. I normally have multiple cars. I don't right now. And I spread my miles out better. I'm also adjusting to the fact that my kids do live so far away from me. You know, in my heyday when I lived with my kids, I didn't drive as much, although I've always been a frequent driver. So I want you to take a look at the Consumer Reports report here on leasing versus buying. And just, you know, I'm going to just very quickly go over and scroll down on some more of these differences. You can look at things such as the early termination, how vehicle return is handled, what the future value is, what the mileage restrictions are. The Consumer Report link will be put in the Wealth Our Way chat after the session is over, so you can revisit the page and get the link. I can't navigate between toggling to do that and also putting it in the comments. So I will do that after the broadcast. When I have my guy, Jerry, who runs a car dealership, who is also the head of the finance and insurance department there, on next week, I will have him dive deeper into the intricacies of the financing side of purchasing a car. What I really want you guys to harp on when you're thinking about purchasing a car is determining whether you want a car payment in perpetuity or whether you think that you're going to own a car for the next 10, 12 years. And once you get past the car note phase, you don't have any expenses for the rest of the life of the car. That's really one of the most serious determining factors. So with that being said, I want to wish everybody a happy holiday weekend. Enjoy the 4th of July. Enjoy some good cooking and some food. And I will see you here on Tuesday because on Monday we will continue to celebrate the holiday weekend and I will not be here. So I'll see you guys all on Tuesday, July 5th. Have a great holiday weekend. And remember, wealth is not only for the wealthy. Take care.